Hi everyone, I'm Steve Stoller.
And I'm Shannah Haley, and this is Inside Plano, where we take you behind the scenes of our city.
We'll introduce you to the faces and places who help make this a great place to live.
And give us lots of reasons to love Plano.
Hey, Steve Stoller, how's it going?
It's going wonderful, Shannah. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Can you believe that it is September 2020 already?
I can't believe that, but you know what else I can't believe?
What?
I can't believe that this is our 33rd podcast that we've done.
I know. It feels like we just started this show a year ago, and here we are working our way up to, the 30s. It's great.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It really is.
It has.
Well, let's talk about some of the great things that are going on, even in the pandemic.
Absolutely. Well, there's something about August. August was a crazy month for me personally, but it started to feel like, in a way, things felt a little more normal. They felt a little different, but more normal. I mean, kids went back to school. School looked a little different. Some kids were in class. Some kids were in the virtual environment. And, same thing is true for the city. We've never really slowed down, have we, Steve?
No, not at all. Not one bit. Another thing, the return of professional sports.
Yes.
Even though there's no fans allowed, I'll tell you, it's really good to see the NBA, the National Hockey League, and Major League Baseball back.
Yeah.
It's a part of our society that gives us a little bit of an escape from what's going on in our daily lives. And again, even without fans, it's just good to have that little tiny bit of escape to watch some sports events.
There's only so much Netflix you can watch. You need to see something else.
That's right.
Speaking of escapism, let us talk about some things that are happening in the city, because it may feel like things were paused. I know that you and I felt like for months all we talked about were COVID related things, but honestly there's been a lot going on, and there are ways to get a little bit of escape in your day and learn new things and do new programs. So we thought this month we would do something different, which is go back to what we used to do, because we can now. We can talk about new things, and there are lots of things going on in the city to be aware of. So I'm going to kick it off and talk a little bit about arts and events, because I know you and your wife love going to concerts. My husband and I love going to special events. We love going to the theater, and COVID has really put a damper on a lot of that stuff. I mean, it's just not going on in the same way, and I really miss it. I really miss live music.
I do too. Yeah, it's been it's been months. We were going to concerts almost every month. A lot of bands that we've always wanted to see, and now there's nothing.
No, there's nothing. Although I'll tell you, there is something. It's just in a different way. So our arts and events group, while they can't necessarily get a concert put together to be outside on one of our great Plano stages, they are offering things online. So you can always tune in and watch live music just being performed in a different venue. So it's the online venue. So every Monday, this has been a surprise to me. They do an art class. It's a live art class. We have fans and followers of those arts programs from all around the world, and it's really wonderful. So if you've ever wanted to just escape and learn a new hobby, whether that's drawing or painting, you can do that every Monday. Every Tuesday and Wednesday, there are local artist spotlights, and then they do an art exhibition on Thursdays. Now, talking about live music, there are concerts at noon online every Friday and Saturday, so you can still get your music fix. And what a great way to get introduced to local artists and, start booking up your calendar for when they're actually on stage. You'll know who you want to go see. So there are things to do. So please allow the arts to, re-energize you, because it is a good form of escapism.
During the summer, how many people are into gardening, taking care of their local little gardens? And we do have some events that are still going on. Live Green in Plano. We're going to have a virtual Garden Green in Plano fair. And that's going to be Saturday, September 12th from 9 a.m. to noon. And whether you're a newbie gardener or a pro, this virtual Garden Green in Plano fair will improve your gardening knowledge and skills. You can even learn about compost, how to pick the right plants for your yard. I need that education, let me tell you. and landscape maintenance tips.
I think that'll be fun. And I think they're also, a big event that they do every year is the Environmental Community Awards. Clearly that's difficult this year, but this year instead they're going to do a sustainability showcase. I've been working with this team on this, and I actually think this is going to be a great event. It will be online, but we talk a lot about sustainability being this big word, and you might think about it as being focused on recycling or focused on living green, buying low impact objects, but it's so much more than that. It's sustainability of how we live our lives and economic conditions. And the showcase is really going to highlight a lot of those things that came into play during COVID-19. So I think if you've ever wanted to learn more about how our community supports itself in a holistic way, so that, Plano supporting Plano and Plano taking care of Plano, the Sustainability Showcase is going to be really interesting. So that's Wednesday, September 16th. It's from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. You can tune into that online and as a live participant, and they'll have some limited placements. So all of that information we'll put in the show notes.
And great things are still happening at our Plano Public Library system, but of course, like most things, everything just looks a little bit differently. So we have a lot of programs that are really cool. One of them is Be a Chemist. It's for kids age 7 through 12. It's hosted on Zoom, and they've got to register. It includes hands-on experiments using supplies picked up from Haggard Library. And we also have a lot of personal development programs, Shannah, like Medicare Patrol. You want to talk a little bit about the Senior Medicare Patrol and what that's all about?
Yeah, so the Medicare Patrol is really focused on preventing Medicare fraud and abuse. And then they're also trying to help you resolve issues and complaints that you may have regarding your healthcare concerns. And then they also do referrals on Medicare fraud. So they try to resolve those situations. So our presenter that day is with the Area Agency on Aging. Say that 3 times fast. Area Agency on Aging. Really very helpful. I think every week, Officer David Tilley with the Plano Police Department is posting about scams, and a lot of those target our senior residents. Certainly a lot of those target individuals who use Medicare. So the Medicare Patrol is very helpful, and that's a great program to attend. It's offered via Zoom. You were saying personal development, and I think one thing that you and I have heard a lot about is during the COVID pause, people have been trying to figure out, like, what is their next step? How do you do business differently? If you're a small business owner and you've been impacted by COVID, how can I use this opportunity to reset, learn some new things, put some new protections in place? All of those things are things that you can learn with the Plano Public Library. If you live in Plano, you have a Plano Public Library card, there are resources available to you. Everything from business coaching, how you can do building wealth, so like financial planning principles, things like that. I don't know how to say this other than to say, don't allow yourself to be a victim of circumstances. Use the things that are provided to you. As a resident of Plano, we want to help you move forward. And that catalog of programs through the Plano Public Library is super valuable. You can learn new skill sets, Excel, Photoshop, use this time to reinvent yourself, and you can do all of that for free. It's all there for you. And you don't have to go to the library to have it. The library has a location. It's called online, and take advantage of it.
Great advice. Thank you, Shannah.
Yeah.
And of course, and then there's our Plano Parks and Recreation Department. It's hard to believe that summer's almost over. Fall is right around the corner. And our Parks and Recreation Department has a variety of ways to help your family stay active, healthy, happy, and connected. They have tennis classes, adult sport leagues, to virtual classes and activities for children and adults. You can sign up for all these classes through the online recreation registration portal. And Shannah, I'll let you discuss some of those activities that are available.
Yeah, so, soccer season has been kind of cattywampus, and although you and I, Steve, both, we live near Carpenter Park, and so Carpenter Park North Soccer Complex just opened up those new fields, and so you're seeing sporting events happen. safely. There are protocols in place to keep those kids and adults safe as they're playing. But if you want your toddler to get prepared for next year's soccer season, you can do that online. They're doing that through Zoom, so age appropriate, and they can work on their motor skills. So super fun. You can take tap classes or ballet classes. If you're a 3 to 5 year old, you can do that through Zoom. Honestly, I have some friends whose kids have done karate classes online, and it has been so fun. I have virtually watched their children virtually learning, as they're posting pictures on Facebook. And is it the same as being in a class with other kids? No, it's clearly different. But are those kiddos having fun and still doing their roundhouse kicks and their plies and all of those other things? Absolutely, they are. And we want you to continue growing and learning. So kudos to our Parks and Recreation team for figuring out how to make that happen. So check out their online programming guide and get signed up for something today.
They have some great virtual recreation classes.
Yeah.
There's a early achievers virtual class for the youngsters aged 3 to 5 at Tom Muhlenbeck Rec Center. This is a virtual preschool experience that incorporates math and language and even some science. And then this one's really going to be popular. Kids Love Soccer. It's going to be a Zoom class, and this is a chance to introduce your toddlers to the world of soccer. And then there's another one. These are for very young kids, also for kids 3 to 5, the Ladybug Ballet and Tap, which you mentioned. And then Optimize Your Health. This is a really important one too. Whether you're in prevention mode, repair mode, or a combination of both, you can learn some simple lifestyle strategies to optimize your physical health and well-being. And once again, those classes are also offered via Zoom.
Well, let me, I didn't actually put this in our notes, but since we were talking about some of those facilities reopening, Carpenter Park North, clearly reopened, and we've got, I'm a runner, and I've been out to Oak Point. They've finished a lot of that work out on the trails there. One that you and I get questions about is High Point Tennis Center, because that's been under construction, renovation of that very old facility. I was just sitting here as you were talking through those classes, and I thought, I wonder what the progress is on that project. They've finished the roof out there. They've got most of the exterior siding done, and they're resurfacing all of the courts except for the pickleball and quick start courts. They've already resurfaced those. They have gotten underway on that part of the project in August. So that's about a 45-day project, weather permitting. So we're getting very close on that project. So they think they're going to be done with the building renovations by the end of September. So that's this month. Weather always kind of can slow things down, but check out High Point Tennis Center. And of course, they've done so many improvements in the area of pickleball. I know we have an active pickleball community here in Plano, so High Point is going to be a great place that if you want to play tennis, if you want to learn to play tennis, if you want to learn to play pickleball, follow the progress of the High Point Tennis Center project.
I've never played pickleball, but I'll tell you, I've seen it at Carpenter Park. It looks like a lot of fun. I'd really like to try it sometime. Have you ever played?
For being the pickleball commissioner, as Mayor LaRosliere dubbed me, I actually have never played, but it does look fun. I'm not really very good at tennis because it moves pretty fast for me, but I'm pretty good at ping pong. So I think pickleball might be in my sweet spot.
We need to get out there and try it.
Maybe we could do that for an upcoming podcast. We could insert some video of us learning pickleball out at High Point.
That would be fun. Let's do it. Our special guest today is our good friend, the Director of Special Projects for the City of Plano, Mr. Peter Braster. Peter, thank you very much for joining us today on our Inside Plano podcast.
My pleasure, as always, Steve.
You've got some huge projects that you're looking at right now that there's a lot of attention on. But before we get into that, this is actually episode 33 of our podcast. You were with us on episode 20. Remind us again, what does Special Projects actually comprise?
Special Projects is sort of a unique position amongst cities, and a lot of cities don't even have anybody to do this. But I focus on three main things. One is an ombudsman for rather large development projects, for example, the Toyota project. where I help iron out any wrinkles that occur through the process. In that one, it was through construction, but it could be anywhere from the planning stages all the way through. I'm just somebody the owner can call and talk through problems without stirring up a whole bunch of stuff, and hopefully solve their problems or maybe miscommunications before they get into be a stumbling block for the project. That's one thing. Second thing is I try to make development or redevelopment happen in special areas like downtown Plano. We have tools to do that within our toolbox. In downtown Plano, we have a tax increment reinvestment zone as well as a public improvement district. So there's ways we can help incentivize project and incentivize people to come and visit downtown Plano. And then third, and this has to do much more with my background in transportation, which is I do some policy work for the city when it comes to transportation vis-a-vis getting and our relationship with DART. I once upon a time worked for a large metro myself, so I completely understand how that operates. So that's my three main focus.
Peter, let's talk about some of those exciting projects that are underway. What's the current status of the Collin Creek development?
Well, you know, it's moving forward a little bit slowly, but that's not unusual in the beginning. One of the big things that happened within the last couple of weeks is that Jcpenney has decided to close their store at the mall. Obviously, this is a business decision wholly within Jcpenney. As you know, they're going through bankruptcy. So I wouldn't say that any of us are shocked to hear it. We're just a little disappointed. That being said, the way the zoning works for the site, those 99 acres, is rather flexible in the idea of what can get built on where and what parcel. They would need to go back through a procedure known as site plan approval, but that's not really that painful of a process. And then we can reprogram that land that Jcpenney was going to do. So all in all, I think that the zoning is flexible. We obviously are flexible and supportive. So I think in the end, nothing really is going to change much at the mall redevelopment, other than maybe a little lag behind so that the developer can reevaluate what they want to do and where.
What components are going into the project?
The project is pretty, as you can, 99 acres is rather large. It now has only one owner since Jcpenney's is selling. And they have decided to put in, and zoning already has been approved, for about 450 homes, single family homes, both attached like a townhouse or detached like a patio home. There are 2,300 units of a multifamily, and some of those are independent living for people above 55, which yay. And then we have, there's, of course, the mall. It's just the main section of the mall, the sort of the longest corridor. Everything else will be removed. And then there's lots of restaurant and entertainment, as they now call it, and some office as well, quite a bit, although that's probably going to be in the last phase. And so it's a real sort of new village, if you will, that is supportive of people who live, work there. They can go shopping or people can visit. And it'll be connected to our trail networks, as well as the downtown Plano Red Line station.
Is there a timeline of when we can actually start to see parts of the project open?
I would say right now they're still projecting about 3 years from now. So the first part will be the mall reopening and some of the new parking garages that will be built. You'll see those. And then you'll see the single family up along Alma Road go in. And that's what you'll see first.
What is the best way for people to stay tuned to get updates on the progress of the project?
Yeah, so Centurion American, who's a developer, has a website, and they do keep them updated. Certainly, as they are a developer that does sell, like the homes will be sold into a builder, and that builder will have their own website. So you should really stay tuned. And of course, we'll keep you up to date as much as possible.
Very good. Switching gears some, since we talked about DART Silver Line the last time, the project has actually gotten underway. What phase is it in right now?
It's still in the design phase. It is a design build contract. So the designer and a builder teamed up, and it is all one project. So they already have started construction while they're still finishing design. Of course, the first thing they do is utility work. That's underway right now. And I understand rail has been delivered. .org has a great web page for the Silver Line that gives you these kind of updates to follow them. And but in any event, they have started. They're still doing art and design and things like that. And so with a projected revenue date, so that's the first day paying passengers can take it, of March 2023.
Peter, are the trains the same type as the ones that currently run on the Red Line that comes to and from Plano?
No, they're not. They're diesel-powered car sets. The actually engine is in the middle of the car to make it quieter. They're much more like the trains running in Fort Worth, from Fort Worth to the airport, or from Carrollton to Denton, the A train. They're very similar, although not exactly the same. And quiet operation is really the goal. So the air conditioning units are screened, the wheels have skirts on them. As I said, the engine is not really pulling. It's sort of in the middle, so the train can actually go in either direction in a push-pull kind of mode. So it's really a very quiet train because it's not really very heavy. So if you're thinking of a heavy freight train locomotive and a big choo-choo horn, not quite the same thing at all. It's about half the size and much quieter.
And this line's going to run from Plano all the way to DFW Airport, correct?
It does. It goes right across the northern tier of DFW, connecting Plano, Richardson, Dallas, and let me do them in order: Addison, Carrollton, through Capel, and into Dallas again, and then into the north side of Terminal B at DFW, where you can, in the beginning, you can walk across the platform and get on a train right to Fort Worth, downtown Fort Worth. It actually even stops at the stockyards. So if you want to see the rodeo, you can take the train over there. And then eventually it'll be one train running back and forth. But in the beginning, there'll be two separate operations. So it's kind of exciting way for people to cross town without having to go down into Dallas's Union Station to get to Fort Worth. It'll be another great way. It also opens up a lot of jobs in Plano for people in the Metroplex to come and work here.
I understand there will be 2 new stations built in Plano. Will those stations have any special design features?
They do. They have an art program. There is the Shiloh Road Station is embracing a neighbor, which is a electrical substation, and it's really kind of a cool piece of art, where they have a giant switch, and so with a yellow stripe that goes down to the platform so you can plug in. So it's really kind of fun. And that one, so it does embrace that. The downtown Plano station, or 12th Street station, is much more industrial. So the art is involved with gears and things like that, or that embrace the sort of industrial part of town. Some of that has been there almost since the founding of Plano. Some of that industry right there at the Cotton Belt Station at 12th and K. We actually have a 3rd station as part of this project. It's on the Red Line. It'll be an elevated station, again at 12th Street, so you can walk across K and up to the other station and make that transfer, if you will. So although we have 2 Cotton Belt stations, or Silver Line stations, we'll have 1 Red Line station new as well. That'll serve the Douglas community and a cross-connect with the Silver Line.
Great. And Peter, the big question out in the community is always when. When can people get on the Silver Line and go from Plano to DFW Airport?
March 2023.
Very good. We'll look forward to that. Peter, thank you so much for joining us today on our Inside Plano podcast. Peter Braster, our Director of Special Projects. Thanks again.
Thank you.
That was a really interesting interview with Peter. We get questions all the time about Collin Creek and about Silver Line, and I think everybody's looking forward to both of those projects being completed.
You know, like so many of our directors at the city, Peter is just a consummate professional, just a real pro, and a really good guy too, really nice guy.
Yeah, I agree. And it's so great to have someone with his level of expertise sitting in that special projects role, because those are complex projects, and it's nice to have an expert like him kind of shepherding those things through. Well, hey, let's talk about September's kind of the final stage of the city's what I call budget season, when City Council is reviewing the city manager's recommended budget for fiscal year 2020 to 2021 and the proposed community investment program. Both of those documents are available online at plano.gov/recommended budget. We'll put the link to that in the show notes. But council is going to vote on that on September 14th during council. They'll also set the tax rate that day. You can read up on all of those things on the city's website. Get yourself up to date in advance of that meeting on the 14th.
And Shannah, earlier we mentioned the reopening of Carpenter Park North, but I'd like to go over just some of the specifics about the renovation because it's pretty incredible. It's been under renovation since spring of 2019. It was a $15.5 million project that was funded by bonds that were approved in 2017, and it also followed the 2015 master plan for Carpenter Park. The renovations included 4 newly installed artificial turf fields, 2 new restroom buildings, and an additional trail that completes a loop trail around the entire park. The turf fields serve as upgrades to previously natural grass fields. There's new field lights, poles, and the playground, which now includes shade, have all been replaced. It's really nice to see. It's amazing, and it's open.
Yeah. And, I think it's important to note Carpenter Park, although it's used by the neighborhoods, it's not, according to the Parks Master Plan system, it's not a neighborhood park. It is a kind of a sports destination park. The playground that's there is to support the sport activities as well as complement the neighborhoods all around. So we are certainly very fortunate in Plano to have, I think it's 85 parks now within our overall system of all different varieties. And I live right by there. My husband and I have taken Glory, our dog, for walks on that trail, and we love it. It's fantastic.
We've said it before, there's not a place in Plano, wherever you live, that you can't walk to a neighborhood park within 10 minutes.
Yeah. It's just incredible. How fortunate are we to have that kind of stuff?
A wonderful park system here. We're very blessed to have that.
Well, Plano, we feel very blessed to have you. We feel very blessed that we have all made it through what we, knock on wood, hope is the worst of the COVID season, and we are normalizing our lives. We want you to know that we care very much about you, and we hope that even though it feels like life is returning to normal, that you are still doing the steps that you need to do to protect your health and your family's health, making wise decisions, being smart while you're staying safe. So things like washing your hands for 20 seconds with soap and water, wearing a mask when you can't social distance, and of course, all that ever important social distancing, 6 feet between you and others to keep yourself healthy as we're continuing to navigate the pandemic. Steve and I hope that at the same time, you remember that we have wonderful businesses here in Plano, so please go out and support them. You can always do curbside pickup. You can do takeout if you don't feel comfortable eating in. We know our business owners appreciate your support and your encouragement and your patronage. It's very, very important to them because our business owners are also our fellow neighbors, and we want the best for all of them. If you have questions, comments, feedback for the podcast, send them to us at askplano@plano.gov. Or if you have ideas for future podcast topics that you'd like Steve to track down and do interviews of, we'd be happy to do that. Again, askplano@plano.gov. But until then, we'll talk to you in October. Have a great one, Plano.
Thank you, Shannah. Thank you, Plano, and we'll see you next month. Take care.
Bye.
And that's it for our Inside Plano. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did doing it.
If you have any comments or suggestions, send them to us at askplano@plano.gov. Bye.
Talk to you next month. The Inside Plano podcast is brought to you by the City of Plano